Well,
Why?
I'm still trying to figure that out myself. But I mean, so basically, I think it started just because everybody has ideas, right? We all do it. We're always like kicking around these good ideas. Well, somebody should do that. Somebody should do that. And finally this summer I said screw it, hey, let's just do it. So me and my buddy, I was driving to our cabin, we were getting ready to go fishing, and it started with the anchor handle. And it's because I mean I'm in pretty decent shape, but nobody likes sticking their finger through that damn eye bolt. I got the stuff in the background. I used to stick that through there, and I was like, I'm gonna build something so that I'm not having to handle this anchor like this anymore. And I didn't know how many people had the same issue as I did, but for me, I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna build it. So I did. I first came up with the original handle, which basically linked in between. So I used two D rings, and it quickly pops off and on. It stays on the anchor, and I was able to quickly pull it off and on. And some people were asking about it, and I thought, hey, maybe I got a good idea this time, so I'm going to run with this. And I built some, and I started doing a little bit of marketing, and sure as heck, a few people started buying it. A lot of people bashed it. I mean, I'll tell you that. I put it on Facebook, and I shared it to the drift boat community, and a lot of people were like, "Yeah, that thing's gonna bash the back of your boat all day long. It's gonna hang up on this or that." And, I took it with stride, and I said, "Well, anchor's supposed to hang up on the bottom, right? Like that's what the point of an anchor is."
I
So,
think so.
but I took a lot of guff from the guys about the extra length that design added, and that's why I came up with the clamp style, which doesn't add any design to the anchor, and that's kind of where it started. So it started out with that anchor idea, and then it's just kind of blossomed from there. And we're just trying to fill holes, that we saw, and we're also trying to bring quality product to the market at a more affordable cost. I don't like particularly going and paying $8 for a sex dungeon streamer when I can tie one in 20 minutes or whatever, 10 minutes. So I'm trying to find those holes and bring something of quality for a little less money.
Heck, I like the idea. I mean, we're a huge freaking drift boat community here. And I mean, all we have is big water, and so if you don't have a drift boat or some kind of raft, I mean, you're most likely not going to be able to get to the good spots.
Yeah.
So,
See, I've been isolated to Michigan. So I've been on drift boats in like Arkansas, a few other states, but I've never had to man the boat. So like rowing here in Michigan, if you've not been here, we don't have the big fast, white class two, class three, whatever. I don't even know the
Mhm.
terminology because I don't row on a raft,
Right?
so like, I don't even know what that is. But that's where I think a lot of those negative comments came from, is because something like that might not be good for, you know, Oregon or something, where you're going through and there's huge boulders that might grab a hold of that and yank it right off. I don't know that. So,
Mm.
but for here in the Midwest, it works great. So
and it is, and I think that's a perfect example. Is a lot of these drift boater guys don't understand. I've had the pleasure to be able to fish on East Coast and West Coast, mainly in upstate New York. But it seems like everybody looks at a river like, oh, they're all the same. Well, no, they're not, because it seems like when I was on the East Coast, the rivers, yeah, for the people out there wondering, they all have fucking rocks in there, so we
yeah,
understand the concept. But like a lot of the rivers here, we call them the anchor freaking eaters.
yeah,
You'll drop, there's boulders that we're floating over the size of a house, and you'll have these pockets in there, and then we call it the boulder gardens. And when we hit them, it's just common sense. We know, okay, if we have to anchor up here, there's a chance we might either end up snapping the rope or losing our anchor. um,
yeah,
but that's with everything. I mean, shit, you can be out down in Louisiana and drop something in the mud and never see that fucking thing ever again.
Yeah.
And so it's, and I think it's common sense. And everybody's out. Everybody wants to be a critic, and everybody. It's easier to bash something that you don't understand than it is to have an open mind and a concept of, hey, yeah, I understand this. Yeah, it might have an extra hook, and like what we're looking at, like my area, we have big rocks. Is it gonna really affect it? Is it? I'm like, actually, I don't think it would be a detour. I could see where they can think that, especially if they use it. We don't use diamond shapes much anymore. We use like the torpedoes and all, and
yep,
we throw a lot of chain on ours. Um,
yeah,
and so when it's dragging through, I can't see it being a bad thing. I mean, it's just like, okay, if it snags up, awesome. If it's snagged up, what you do is either you row back up and get above it,
That's
and then it's common sense.
yes, yes, and that's kind of I've had to take the negative criticism with stride and actually use it to improve, and that's why I came up with the second design. But that first design for chains, it's great because I've never liked handling them. They're just not easy. Even I like the tornado anchor. It's great,
That's what we
but
run.
Yeah.
if you don't grab it with your finger, that thing is spinning all over the place.
Yeah,
It's like you got to kind of almost bear hug it.
Yeah,
So
it's like an explosion with a rod going through it.
Oh God.
I mean, it works great on the river. I mean, the thing is amazing, but it's just like even that one we throw chains on, and then having at least a grap point, a gripping point. Whether you're running, we average very rarely will we drop below 20, but we're 20 to 35 pound freaking anchors. I mean, it's just they're always the shittiest shape that you can possibly try to pick up. Though we could make one simple or make a little groove in it where we can handle it. So I think it's
Yep.
awesome. I think that, dude, shit. If you're not selling on the West Coast yet, then let me know and I'll see if I can push it.
Yeah, I've shipped a few. I've probably shipped to like 20 states so far. I'd say sales haven't been, it's not like it's flying off the shelves, and I'm new to all of this. I've never done anything like this. Haven't been a business owner. So I'm learning as I go, and I don't know marketing. So, I mean, this is the type of stuff that I'm trying to get involved with to kind of, get the name out there and meet people and network. And a lot of people have welcomed me with open arms, and it's been great. So
That's awesome. Well,
Which
you said
makes
it's
the
only been
industry awesome.
6 months, right?
yeah, we kicked off probably like midsummer. It had to be 5 or 6 months now that the site's gone live. So it hasn't been that long. And really, like I said, the community has been so awesome. That's what I like about fly fishing and fly fishing community, anyways, because it's like you meet somebody, if you find out they fly fish, you can sit there and bullshit for like the rest of your lives basically until your wives are like,
Crazy.
get the heck out of here,
Yep.
gotta go. So it's like that's what I like about it. Everybody's great people and good to talk to, except for some of the drift boat guys that bash my stuff.
And that's
You're
the
always
nice
gonna have
thing,
critics.
especially where I'm at. Man, that would come in handy because on my side, I live just off of the valley and on the San Diego Pass. Um, our area is huge in salmon and steelhead fishing. And it's just like and a lot of the guys, most of the guys that I know, nobody fly fishes on this. Everybody's a gear guy, but everybody has drift boats, and it's just like whether you're running like a McKinsey setup or you're running just a standard clack or whatever. Man, it's such a broad industry. You're in one of those niches where you get to kind of play on both sides of the world because it's when people think of drift boats, they think of fly fishing, but man, it's like here, somebody says drift boat, they're thinking salmon steelhead, and you're chucking eggs and with this
Plug in whatever.
Yeah.
So we got a little bit of that up here in Michigan just because we're on the Great Lakes and we get all the we call them steelhead. A lot of people like to argue about whether they're steelhead or not, but
they're all the original breeds. You're welcome because we originally shipped the freaking steelhead over there for you. So
We could talk about that for the rest of the podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
It probably will.
Well, if you like brown trout fishing, I'm sure we all do, right?
Oh, yeah.
The first brown trout was actually planted in Michigan in the Baldwin River back in 1884. So I did a little video on that a couple months back, just a little history lesson. So it's like they brought them over. Michigan was the first state that had them. So
that's
pretty neat.
That's
You
cool.
guys have some fatties in those lakes. Holy
No kidding.
crap! You guys got some monster browns over there.
Yep. Yeah. You can get into them.
Yeah. I love the mid and east coast like predator fishing. That's one thing I miss the most is probably next would be the ice fishing, but the predator fishing over there. Like I look at brown trout as predator fish because they're just a bunch of assholes. They just eat everything. They're kind of like brookies. And it's just like pike and walleye and the muskie and freaking just all of it. It's just everything's out there just to kick your ass, and I loved it.
Hell yeah,
I miss it.
Smallmouths too. Everybody
Oh,
underlooks the
smallmouth are my
smallmouth, but
favorite
I mean,
fish.
they are the fight is great. You can throw just about anything at them, a mouse, a topwater, a streamer, whatever, and they're gonna grab it, and they're gonna take you for a ride.
Smallmouth or overgrown bluegill, because bluegills are assholes in the first place.
Yeah.
Dude, and they're like fat. It's like throwing cake at a fat cake convention. It's just like they eat everything, and the smallmouth are the same thing, dude. And they're pissed
Gary
off.
like that one.
Yeah, I'm thinking you got the edit button, right? You get edit. Right?
and the smallmouth. The reason why I love them because they will fight tooth and nail from the time you hook them and they will try to rip your face off till the time you throw them back in the water. They are fighting consistently. There's no give up. Everybody's all
Warriors, man.
Yeah, everybody's like,
They're a blast.
I
They're a
want to
blast.
chase a largemouth. I want to get like a 10-pound largemouth. Screw that, dude. I'll take a 5-pound freaking smallmouth over a largemouth any day.
Yeah, they're a blast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I used to catch little 1-pounders. They ripped the line off. First time I heard the real spin was off of a smallmouth. It wasn't even a trout. Yeah, baby, come here. So yeah, they're a blast. They're a
Heck
blast.
Very cool. So what else do you have on the site, man? So you got your anchor set up there. What else are you guys selling? Any other products right now, or what do you have going on?
Oh yeah. So we're constantly expanding. So we got leaders, and I'm actually ordering right now. I've just been doing 9 foot. So we got 9 foot 6-packs, $12.99 on the site. I got boxes. I don't know if you guys have been following
nylon or
Dave.
fluoro? Sorry.
What's that?
Is that nylon or fluorocarbon? Those leaders.
Those are nylon. The tippet
Okay.
we have is fluorocarbon.
Okay. Cool.
I got
Sorry
a
to-
couple different box sizes that we're doing. The waterproof silicone style, and then a few streamer boxes. I know Dave, you've been following, and Ryan.
Mhm.
Sorry, my throat is. I have to drink more of my beer in a minute.
There you go. Drink some more beer.
That's your body telling you you're thirsty.
So yeah, we just we're getting into the streamers. We're doing some what I'm calling river ready streamer boxes, which have everything that I would throw in my box. So you got your sex dungeons, kamikazes, zoo cougars, your circus peanuts. I've slightly renamed them because I didn't know if Kelly Galloop or Gallup or however you say his name,
Gallop, yeah.
if he had trademark, I didn't want to get in trouble with that. So
Yeah, that's a scary market.
Yeah.
Of when you start getting into that stuff of like, hey, we're gonna do this, and it's just like everybody wants their cut. It's like and that's gonna be kind of a scary thing coming up in an industry that necessarily isn't easy to come up into
Yeah.
when it comes to fly fishing because everybody's super protective of their shit.
yes, yeah. You got to almost and also the customers too. You got to gain the trust because as much as we'd like to say we're open to trying new things,
dude, we're a
I'm the
bunch of
same way.
assholes.
Like I got my rods, I got my reels, I got my equipment, gear that I trust. So it's difficult to break into. You definitely have to get out and do get exposure. I've been sending stuff to people to try. I started that ambassador program. If you guys had, some of you may have seen that post. There's been lots of people that have been reaching out to me about that. Typically, what I do is I give them their code and they'll place a first initial order of like a hat and a t-shirt, just kind of build that trust. And when I send that order out, I'll send them some leaders and some streamers, maybe a fly box, a hat. So, I throw in about equal to the order, if not more of the freebies to get the actual gear out there. So they start using these leaders and they trust them. And then hopefully they come back and they buy them.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw the
back to
streamer boxes. Man, your advertising seems like it's working pretty good, at least on Instagram,
Yeah. I've been doing a little bit. I've paid for a few, but most of it's just kind of, just following what everybody else does. I'm just trying to like people's stuff. I follow them. Hopefully they follow me. And I'm trying to post frequently. I've never done it. I didn't even have Instagram until like 2 years ago. So I'm still kind of getting into that world and learning that,
It's another job. I'm not gonna lie.
It
to you.
is.
It is.
Yeah.
It's another job. I mean, Dave definitely knows.
For sure. Yeah.
Ryan understands it. I'm big on like promoting my stuff through my business that I'm getting started, and it's just like holy crap. It's like what. Like I hate Facebook, but holy crap, for Facebook for a business can be amazing. Majority of my sales are on through Facebook. Of the one place I hate the most. But it's just like it works. Social media is such a double-edged sword, and it's just like it gets nerve-wracking. Like, oh shit, it's like, and then it's one of those things you sit up at night and like, hey, I got like 1,500 likes on this pic that I thought that would be and then I only got like 20 on this picture that I thought was
like
gonna be
why?
epic.
Like why is
like,
this one?
What did I do wrong?
Yep. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
1,500. It's for me. It's like 15 likes, 5 likes, 8 likes. Like, come on,
tonight,
people.
baby.
I get 15 likes. I'm happy.
Yeah. And so
Hopefully this podcast gets 15 views, then we'll be happy.
we'll be like, you'll hear my voice and Bob like, oh, next.
I like your hat, man. How did you come up with your logo and the name?
So-
like, what's behind the name?
Yeah. So the name and the logo was when we're out night fishing, we do a lot of hex fishing up here. I'm sure you guys have hex. We go nighttime hex fishing a lot. So when we go out, we see these gigantic moths. They're freaking like the size of birds, and they're flying all over the place. And that's kind of where we got the moth idea imprinted into our head. And what I don't tell a lot of people, and I don't think, Ryan, when you and I were texting back and forth, I kind of skipped over this one small part of the story. And when we went back to the cabin after fishing and we were drinking beer and stuff, we're like, first thing that came to our head was Mothra. We're like, let's do Mothra fishing products, and then next, somebody else is like, but Tolo owns Mothra, so we're like, we're not going to go down this rabbit hole of trying to start something and then having somebody shut us down because of the name. Yep. So that's basically where we had the moth. We wanted to stay with it. I was doing some Googling and found the Arctic woolly bear moth. And I just liked the way it looked. I flipped the 2 words around and we kind of got stuck with the Mothbear. So I got a good buddy that lives in Traverse City that's a graphic designer, and I kind of sent him what we were thinking, like for the moth, for the M, because that was always the idea, and he turned this into what you're seeing on my hat now.
Yeah, it looks
Very cool,
super
man.
clean, dude. I like
Very
it too.
cool.
Yeah, nice job.
All those epic freaking best things always start with no shit. There we're drinking beer.
Yeah. Funny how that works.
Yeah.
A giant moth diving at Bob, bird diving at your head.
Dude, I
Let's start a
almost
business.
forgot. I almost forgot like how crazy the bugs get at night over there. It's just like when you. I remember driving down like the backcountry roads, and I swear to God, I was running over small kids. It was just like the shit that was hitting my truck, and I'd get home, and between the 1,000 freaking lightning bugs that I just plowed through, and the freaking moths and the other crap, it was just like, gee, Christmas.
You pull your car in the garage and shut the garage door, but there's still a glow coming from the hood.
Right?
What is it? Oh, it's 1,000 lightning bugs there. Ain't
Lightning bugs.
We just decimated a whole freaking field full.
Is that just a Midwest thing? Where the hell are lightning bugs from?
Yeah, they usually.
They're all over, like the South and the East. I know
Yeah.
that.
Are they?
Yeah,
Okay.
New York
Yeah.
had them. There's an East Coast, and it
I've
usually not too far past Michigan. It starts to like die off as you go across.
I've seen a few here, but not many, man. Not like you would see like back on the East.
You don't tie lightning bug flies, Ryan?
I need to, man.
Do it.
Well, when you catch them, they know you're like, what the fuck? How the hell? Why is this lighting?
Right.
Magic, wizardry.
It was awesome. My kids used to love chasing lightning bugs at night, man. You go out there and you'd see millions across these farmers' fields. And they just go launch
They're cool.
Off. Oh,
They are cool.
So you ever like hooked one of these monster moths like with on your back cast or anything like that?
No, never hooked them. But basically, every time we get back to the cabin after fishing, they're always around the light by the slider door. So we've grabbed them and played with them. I mean, they're giant. I used to know the name of them, but I forgot. But
Crazy.
They're huge.
Okay,
But yeah,
cool.
we got a lot of lightning bugs here too. Especially when you stay out hex fishing, you'll see like you said, the grass edges of the river just light right up.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty nice.
That's wild.
That's gotta be beautiful, man.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. Makes it interesting.
Man,
So how long have you been fishing?
Okay, so I would consider myself probably a newbie to fly fishing. I want to say between the 8 and 10 year mark. But if it was 10 years, it was when I went to Walmart, bought like the $40 rig and went to the Rifle River, just north of Grand Rapids, and actually hooked into a steelhead, and that it didn't really survive that whole you know, steelhead. So from there, I kind of got hooked on it. And then I actually went to the fly shop and got a better setup, and then started learning how to steelhead fish, which I would say is probably, it's like more of a chuck and duck, you know, egg sucking leeches, probably the closest thing that I know how to do that would compare to nymphing. Because I've here basically primarily dry fly and streamer fishing, and with the exception of during steelhead season, we'll throw stones or you know, eggs or egg sucking leeches. Pretty much is about the extent of my knowledge in that whole area of, you know, under the bobber or an indicator. So
Right.
Yeah.
So
but yeah, I would say 8 years, probably 6 years where I've just dove head first and there's no return now.
Heck
yeah,
Yeah. Once you're in it, you're in it.
it could be a dark road.
Yes.
You almost feel
Lots
like you
of-
need to go to a meeting.
Yeah, lots of money. It's all I think about now. It's like an addiction.
Yeah.
So if I'm not like thinking about it, I'm looking at like Dave's photos and liking them. Thinking,
Appreciate
I want to
that.
go fishing. I'm looking at, you know, everybody else's on the Instagram world.
Like the rest of us, yeah.
Yep.
Are you full time into the business now, or is it still startup side gig kind of thing?
Yeah, it's still a side gig. I got, my wife helps me out with books and stuff like that right now. And like I said, it's pretty manageable at this point because like today, I think I got 2 sales. So I got to
Okay.
box up 2 sales and send them out. So it's not like I'm getting flooded with orders right now. So it's manageable for me to do it on the side right now. I do have some stuff things are picking up with like networking and stuff like this. Friday, there was an event in Holland. It was the No Pressure podcast. I actually didn't make it, but I donated that box. I don't know if you guys saw the box that they raffled off there.
Mhm.
And then I've got a couple other gig type things going on, Midwest Fly Fishing Expo. So things are starting to happen where it's like, oh man, this is going to take a little more of my time, you know? So I don't know how, when I cross that bridge, I don't know how I'm going to manage it, but right now I can't, you know, it's not going to sustain a full-time career.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Selling 1 or 2 handles a week isn't going to pay the bills right now. So.
Right. But looks like you're branching out quick though with other products and clothing and the streamers now and all that. So
Yeah. And I don't think I fully answered Ryan's question. So like I started out with this huge idea and I had to bring myself in, you know, like I had to rein it back a little bit. So I don't know if you can see in the background, you guys have probably seen like, so we got dry bags, we got some dry pouches, you know, for keys or cell phones or whatever. Like I said, the streamers, we got winter hats, we got regular ball caps. All the boxes are behind me, different caps. This hat here is actually interesting. I had these made. This is a baby or toddler size hat.
That's
So I had the
cool.
whole thing designed. It's got our, you know, the tape inside is the Mothbear tape. But I had this pattern made up, and I thought it was cool.
Dude, that's
But
awesome.
this isn't an
that's
adult
cool.
hat. This is for
for
kids.
kids, that's awesome.
You're out, Dave. You can't get it, Dave. You just said no to
I
you, buddy.
want
I'm
one.
sorry.
I still want one.
But yeah, other than that, clothes, you know, we're doing the t-shirts and stuff. We got a couple artists that have been helping us out with some different designs and but yeah, the gear is kind of where we're trying to head. It's just it's expensive to get into. It's expensive. Everything you got to buy in mass quantity. So it's like you kind of have to pick and choose and grow slow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So
yeah,
are you
kinda
doing trade
choose
shows?
path.
I'm sorry, are you doing trade shows and stuff? Or trade
Yeah.
shows? Are they happening? I don't even know if they're happening.
So we actually are signed up for our first show. It's March 12th and 13th in Warren, Michigan. It's Midwest Fly Fishing Expo. So we'll be doing that one. We're supposed to have a booth. We got a couple other buddies that will be down there with booths that have our rep, Brian Kosminski out of Boyne City, Michigan. He's also a guide. He's going to be down there for TFO. He's a TFO rep in Michigan here. And then we got a couple other companies up in the area that will be down there with booths as well.
You thinking about going west? Colorado has amazing ones, shows. Yeah,
I've heard.
Yeah, I did
Yeah,
one before
no.
the show. I mean, for COVID, we had done one, and
Okay.
they're amazing.
I would definitely be interested in going and just participating as a customer, you know, but also if the opportunity presented itself, yeah, we'd definitely consider getting a booth coming out that way.
Cool. Let me know if you do.
talk about
Definitely will.
all your Colorado ones. Actually, Oregon had the biggest fly fishing expo this side of the Mississippi, but it got
cool.
canceled this year and next year due to
They torched the
shenanigans
building.
and stuff.
Really?
And so they thought about pushing it online, but I think they're just gonna they completely nixed it for 2022. But we should be back open in 23.
Okay,
So,
cool.
Where do they usually have that? Is that Portland?
No, it's actually over down here in Albany,
Okay.
and so which is about 30 minutes from me.
I almost forgot, guys.
Hell
You gotta get your
yeah.
sex.
See-
You got to get your sex dungeon boxer
Under-
shorts.
Yes.
Okay.
Dude, I already-
Search underwear.
Dude, I already sent them to my wife. I was like, I want these for Christmas. Dude, the second you posted that, I shared it to these guys.
Yes,
and I'm like,
we knew
this
about
dude's got
that
sex dungeon boxers.
immediately. I'm pretty
So-
sure it was on your you posted it for like 5 seconds
Dude, I
And
don't
it
think
was
I've ever been
already
so excited
in
about
our
something.
chat.
Yeah. I'm the first to admit I ordered 2 pair and I love it.
Awesome. Yeah. I got a
So-
couple other designs rolling around in the old brain that I'm thinking about kicking out for the boxer shorts, but it might be
Cool.
a bit. But
Yeah, we were talking. Gary's he's our resident non-streamer guy, so he needs something that doesn't have a streamer on
Yeah.
Something I can hide. Something I can keep under the clothing.
it.
how about the sexy bass?
There you go.
There you go.
Gary's would want the smallmouth bass, I think.
There's nothing like having a smallmouth bass around your waist.
Oh man.
So what? How'd you get into fly fishing, man? Were you a spinner guy before, or what happened? How was
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, so I fished since I was a kid. I've just been addicted to fishing. So I was lucky to grow up in northern Michigan. Family had a cottage on Grand Lake up in Presque. So every summer we'd stay out there all summer long, and my brother and I would just oar ourselves out to the weed bed and worm fish, lure fish, whatever, catch smallmouth bass, pike, panfish. And so from a very young age, I've been, addicted to fishing pretty much. So when I got a little bit older, I was able to drive. We started cruising around to different trout streams, brook trout streams, primarily in this area, Black River, Sturgeon River, some different areas through there. And we'd fish panther martins and catch brook trout. I mean, anywhere from, just little babies up to 16 and a half inch, probably is the biggest I've caught, but just beautiful native brook trout. And that's kind of what got me hooked. So from there, we started branching out and going up into the UP and fishing, different river systems throughout the UP. And I didn't really get into fly fishing, like I said, until probably about, I want to say somewhere between 8 and 10 years down when I was in Grand Rapids. Somebody was talking to me about it. You got to try it. You got to go for these steelhead. So yeah, I bought a $40 rod and snapped it. And that's kind of how that all started. So it's
Awesome.
Was there somebody in your life that you would say inspired you to get into either fishing or kind of convert over to the fly fishing?
It's a really hard question. I think it was just, being around the water and growing up on, the lake and whatnot, just kind of naturally happened. The shed at my cottage was full of really old, crappy fishing gear. So a lot of my childhood memories are like trying to piece together reels and rods and find line that's not snapping by barely pulling on it and just getting out there and, catching some bass. So I would say just probably where I grew up and having that shed full of old fishing gear.
That's cool. Those are good memories, huh?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Still go out there quite a bit.
Yeah.
Except now I got good fishing gear and a nicer boat.
Right on.
Are you fishing a ton, or are you so busy you have a hard time getting out there?
No, I still go. I go quite a bit. It's seasonal here. Like you said, it's getting cold right now, so we go chasing Atlantic salmon on the streamers that run in from the big lakes. A lot of our rivers are still open for streamer fishing, so we still go after the big browns for streamers. A lot of the inland rivers are all closed down for spawning, so we can't do much wade fishing. But the steelhead are going to run all winter long. Got the Atlantic salmon, and then the streamer fishing for the browns. And when it gets real cold, things start freezing up. I'll probably start hitting ice fishing out on, out by my family cottage there for some perch and walleye. Something I can throw in the frying pan.
Perch
Oh,
is-
I love
perch is
walleye.
so good, and perch and walleye mix are that I miss that so much.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah,
do you,
you save them up and then you have that big old gathering and fry them all up and
Heck
have
yeah.
to do some beer drinking and
For sure.
it's a good time.
do you guys have any other closures? Like I know you said you have the spawn closure. Other than that, are your rivers open year round, or how does that look over there?
Yeah, it's just for the spawning. So it's like
Okay.
the last weekend in September to the last weekend in April, I believe, or April 15th is when it opens back up. Don't quote me. I always have to Google it before, like, can I go yet? Can I go yet? So,
Mhm.
so, but yeah, it's just closed down for that spawning season through the winter.
Awesome.
Yeah, we deal with the same thing. Stuff getting shut down. I think it's October 31st, but it's pushed to clear out to I think it's like the end of May is when the rivers open
Okay.
back up on my side. But I mean,
Okay.
we can still chase the salmon and steelhead. We just shuts down for trout.
Yeah, just the inland one. So basically, like all of our dams that flow free from the last dam out to the big lake, those are open all year long. And some of our larger rivers, like the Manistee, Muskegon, and the Sabo River, they're open in between dams. Some sections are closed down for like streamer fishing or whatever, because there's other species in these rivers as well. People target. So, but I'd say that I'd probably get out at least once a week. I try to go more.
That's great.
Yeah.
That is. I'm glad we don't have seasons in Colorado. I mean, I always hear about, oh, the season's closed, or I can't wait for it to open, and I honestly I just can't relate to that because I
Yeah.
haven't had to experience it.
Yeah,
I think it makes sense, especially from a conservation perspective, but it's just something I haven't had to deal with.
Yeah, what's nice about it here is a lot of the crowds thin out. The weather gets cold and some of the streamer action gets really hot. Like some of the best time of the year to streamer fish is when everybody else is gone and all of the little trout streams are closed down. And then it might be you by yourself on the river, or maybe you and one other boat. So
Mhm.
we like it, but
Yeah.
everything's freezing up, your hands are cold,
Oh
you might
part
yeah.
not
of it.
catch anything, and then you're like, why do I do this?
And then you catch that brown, you're like, that's why.
That's why.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Keeps it
definitely
coming
slows
back.
down here in the winter too, but that's nice to get a little break from all the pressured waters.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So have you got a chance to kind of venture out from Michigan and fish anywhere else?
Yeah, I've actually been out to Colorado once. I went out there snowboarding. I think it was 2 years ago. I think it was Vail maybe.
Vail's
But I booked
big.
a trip with a guide, and we went out. And that was one of the one times that I actually did nymph fish. We caught some browns, some rainbows, so it was pretty fun. One thing that I'm addicted to doing is going to the White River in Arkansas
It's a great
in
place.
Cotter. So this year I'm actually going January. I think 28th time frame this year.
Is that the Streamer Love Fest?
Yes.
Oh, dude.
Nice.
Maybe I can
It
meet you
is
down
like
there, man. I want to go so bad. Bro.
deceivers, like 6 to 8 inch deceivers, and when you
Wow.
hook a fish, you know it. It pretty much rips the pull out of your hand.
Crazy.
So yeah, I'm heading back down. I think this will be like my 5th trip. So that's pretty much one of the addictions that my wife is like, you need to quit spending money on going to Arkansas where there's nothing else to do other than fish this river. So, but I'm gonna keep going.
Heck yeah.
Just do what I do. Send the wife on a vacation, and then I go on my vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just send-
somewhere else.
Send her up to
I took
Branson.
her. She ended up coming with me, I think 2 years ago, and she caught a little rainbow, and she didn't mind it, but I mean, it wasn't like, I could tell it wasn't her cup of tea being in the boat for the majority of the day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I said you could send her up to Branson. That's an hour north. Or actually, you're
Yeah.
in Cotter, a little bit further. Tell her to go watch Elvis Presley or something like that if there's some imitator.
Yeah.
So
we
you
ended
go
up
back. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I ended up having to run on the way back up through Memphis, and we went to Sun Studios and all that. So we made a trip of it. So
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go down there for that trip, man. That's like if you're a streamer guy, like that's
You
kinda-
guys.
that's the thing.
I was
You know
gonna
what I mean?
say, Ryan, maybe we need to show up.
Yeah, for sure.
yes, I highly suggest going.
I fished it, but I've only fished it in the summertime. Never got a chance to fish it in the winter yet, but I want to. It's a
Yeah, I
unique
think
river.
the new big thing the new big thing people are doing is the mousing in the summer now,
Yeah.
and they're just catching massive brown trout.
Yeah. I went, I'm a streamer guy personally, and I go down there, and I got a good buddy that guides down there, and he's like, nope. He's like, if you're on my boat, you're throwing dries, dude, because the caddis fishing is so hot right now. So I'm like, all right, it looks like we're throwing dries, dude. We caught some nice fish, man. I had a blast, but I'm like,
Sounds like I would like that
Hey,
guy.
technically,
man, I need to
a
throw some
mouse
meat.
is a dry.
That's true.
There you go.
Throwing it out there.
Yeah.
It's a floating streamer.
You're not putting it under a bower.
Floating streamer. That's what it is. It's a dry streamer. That's what
Dry
it is.
streamer.
That's very cool. So what would you say, man? So you've already fished some pretty cool spots. So if you had like one dream trip, like money wasn't an option or anything like that, it was taken care of, where are you going?
Can anybody answer that question? I mean, who's got a list a mile long, right?
Good point.
It does. For me, it changes all the time because I'll sit there and watch YouTube and I'm like, oh, I want to go there. I want to go there. I want to go there. So it's like, I got probably a couple. One that I'm probably going to try to do as soon as it's good to go, drive up through Canada, is Nipigon, because we've been talking about taking the boat up there and going after some monster brook trout on streamers. I haven't been able to do it because the idea came just before COVID and it's been shut down since. So hopefully that opens up. But I would say probably dream, no money, probably be like Bolivia or something for some golden Dorado, like
Hell yeah.
getting in some kind of wooden boat and having to be like paddled up river for 3 hours until you get to the spot, and then you're just casting for these giant Dorado.
Yeah, that would be a blast.
Dude, I got Dorado on the list. My buddy has some let's say really good ties in Nepal, and he's like, you want to go chase goldens? He goes, we can make it happen. And I'm like, I hate you right now because I can't do it.
Yeah, so that's probably one near the top of the list. And then lately I've been fascinated with watching videos of redfish. So I've been doing a lot of research on Louisiana. I have some family on the coast of Texas there that you can catch sea trout and the redfish there. So that's something I've been doing a lot of research on because it looks like a blast being on the flats and sight fishing those things. They look like they put up a heck of a fight. So
oh hell yeah.
I've chased them, man. Caught some smaller reds, but I haven't hooked that big one yet. My wife's from Louisiana, man, so maybe one of these days, dude, we can link up and go down there and get it done together, bro.
Yeah, we should probably do that. We need to find somebody with one of those skiff boats, though.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yep.
Sign me up for that trip too. Great.
The list grows longer.
I know.
So you were talking about going up to Canada for those brook trout. I know of a lake, and I watched a video about it. So the lake you're talking about, is that in BC or is that over on the east side?
It's on the east side. Nipigon is the largest freshwater source to Lake Superior.
Okay, gotcha.
And don't quote me on that because I only read that on Google, so I don't know if that's factual, but that's what I read.
It sounds good. Just be confident about it.
Well, you never know anymore. I don't know if I'm Wikipedia or.
Oh, don't worry. There'll be some internet warrior out there that wants to freaking say you're wrong.
So.
Yeah. Well, I read it, so I have to go off what I read. But yes, they've got massive brook trout there, and I hear you can't. It's like you almost cannot catch one if you go. So.
Yep. I was. Have you heard of Fortress Lake?
No.
So Fortress kind of sounds like that place is pretty gnarly too. That's I don't know for sure if it's like, I'm pretty sure it's in British Columbia. It might be on the closer to the Alberta
It's
side,
real close. It's our side of the midline. My side of the midline.
Kind of this. It sounds like the same deal. So I didn't know if we were talking about the same area or not. But I'm right there with you, man. Big brook trout on streamers would be a blast.
Oh yeah.
I love.
Gary, do you know what a streamer is?
Yeah, I saw a picture once.
You saw a picture on those underwear he just held up?
Yeah.
Oh no! Before that one, I've
Okay.
had other experiences in my life than him showing us underwear. But yeah, streamers are good. They're good to put on your antennas in your car, drop them on your bumpers, put them on. You can put them on. You got a handle now for the weights. You can tie them on there. Streamers are awesome.
Yeah.
And I think they're great.
We can tell.
I got an idea. We'll get Gary mouse fishing. He'll get
Yeah.
addicted. Then we'll bring him into the streamer world from there. We'll work it.
I'll tell you what, I'll let you do that because I was just now looking online, not now, but the other day looking online. Some of these mouses are just incredible.
Oh yeah, they are.
they're
Dude, they're
amazing.
coming out with like articulated mice and all kinds of
Mhm.
cool stuff.
Is that two mice doing it, or is this just one with a hip replacement, articulated?
Gary,
That is a hip replacement.
next run to Yamsey, we'll go mousing.
I've got okay. That's all I got to say to you. Okay. Just set the
Okay.
date.
Do you guys
Every
do a
day.
bunch of mousing up there in Michigan?
We will.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. But that's huge at night, though, isn't it? I mean, they love it at night too.
It is a nighttime. It's definitely a nighttime activity. I only got into it about 2 years ago. I'll admit I've been unsuccessful, but I've had some massive blow-ups and I'm
Oh,
hooked
man.
on it. Just from the
That's cool.
blow-ups, I'm hooked. But my buddy caught one standing right next to me first time. I went like a half a dozen times unsuccessful. He went, caught his first time. It's like that's what you gotta love about it too, is it's humbling.
Right.
You're
Oh,
doing
yeah.
the same thing next to the guy next to you and he's catching all the fish and you're doing the
You
same
mean-
thing. So
You mean your ex-friend, right? Nobody hangs out with him anymore. That's all he talks
No,
about.
we're still friends. We're still
Oh.
friends. But
But guess what? He brings up the same story every time, doesn't he?
He's just holding the picture hostage.
Yeah.
He's got a T-shirt. It's on his back. of
You
his
can release
t-shirt.
your picture when I catch mine as well.
now that you mention it, he does quite frequently bring that up and rub it in my face.
That just means
Nice.
he's a good friend.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
You're a better friend for not dumping him.
The more shit talking, the more that there's the brotherhood.
A tighter bond. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. A tighter bond. More
Oh,
shit talk.
absolutely.
Yeah, man, like mousing, dude, it's crazy to think about. Like, so I was fortunate enough to spend a couple years up in Alaska. There's certain areas where trout like hunt down and eat mice, and then there's other areas where it's like, are they hitting it because like it's something weird on top of the water and they're interested, or do they know like, hey man, like that's a mouse, I'm gonna eat that, that's protein, I've had some hits here on mice. It's like you don't see a lot of mice around. Little shrews on like some small creeks, I've had them come up and hit a mouse, and I'm like, they probably know what that is. But there's certain places, and I'm guessing Michigan's definitely probably one of them, where those fish will hunt down mice. Like that's a meal right there. And
Yeah.
that's why you get those huge explosions, man. It's insane. They know what they're going after.
It scares the shit out of you. I mean, you're just like, it's
Dark and
quiet as
calm.
hell.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so going back to you asked a question earlier about who was like an influence. So I have a buddy here, Eric Peterson. He's a guide. And he guides in Alaska, White River. I'm actually
That
going with
name
him in the White
sounds
River.
familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you look him up on Instagram, everything you're gonna see is hogs. I mean, huge brown trout. The guy can put you on huge fish. But I had to call him after I failed at mousing like 9 trips out. I said, "What am I doing wrong? Tell me what to do." And he's like, "Tuck your rod in your armpit, and you strip
it's
slow with
strip?
both, so you
Oh.
don't,
Yep.
because you hear it,
Oh.
Yep.
you jerk and you pull the bait away from the fish because they'll come up and they'll whack it or they'll play with it before they really grab a hold of it. So he
Mm.
gave me that advice, and that's probably for that. He's probably one that I look up to, and I appreciate the advice because it worked. I actually kind of felt one time. It still got away.
Dude, that is a great tip, though, man.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
a great tip.
Yeah, it definitely helps out because if you're like me, you're sitting there and you're listening, you barely hear
Mhm.
anything, and if you hear that blow up, you reactively just licked
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Right.
So do you like when you guys run your mice up there, you have like your Moorish, which has the hook underneath the body, and a lot of them are like incorporating like a longer tail with the hook in the tail, like a trailer. How do you run yours up there?
So we've been doing both. I started out with Moorish, and then I actually tied up some Moorish with the stinger in it, and then I got turned on to trout trap. So
Yeah,
the trout
those are-
trap
yep.
mice, they gain a lot of weight, and the butt floats down in the water a little bit more so than the rest of them. They don't sit so high.
Creates a nice
So-
wake too.
Yeah, and they're putting this little thing on the top that is very luminescent. It glows really bright at
Yeah.
night. So you just hit that with your light, and you can see your mouse 30 feet out the whole way in. So
Oh, yeah.
I've been kind of using those exclusively for the past year or so.
Cool.
Hell yeah. I wish
I
we
hope you
could
get
fish
yours,
it.
man. I'm looking forward to that picture of that big old fish in a net, bro.
Oh yeah, with the mouse hanging out.
Yeah, I wish we can chase at night. There's like we have one area, um, at least close to me, where we can go chase trout at night, and then other than that, we can chase bass and everything. But God, I'd love to be able to get that situation where it's set up and just go chuck mice all night long, and freaking,
Mhm.
it's a whole different ball game.
So how did you get into streamer fishing then?
Uh, Probably the White River.
Yeah.
I think I started out as a dry fly guy up here chasing the hatches, and then I started doing the streamer thing. But the White River is what really got me into rigging the rod up, with sink tip and all that
Right.
stuff.
The full
And
setup. Yeah.
kind of, I don't think you can't get hooked on it if you go to the White River after catching 27-inch brown trout. Like
Mhm.
it,
That'll
it's
get
life
you hooked.
changing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's life changing.
We need to get Gary because Gary actually spent some time down there living on the White. So we need to get him back down there and reintroduced.
Yeah, I did fish that. I did fish that part only a couple times. I was over in the western part of the state, so I fished the white out of the Beaver Lake, which is up by northwest Arkansas. But I went over to Mountain Home and all that and fished that twice. I think the 3 years I lived there. But we weren't using streamers; it was all dry flies and nymphs, drops, and all that. But I don't know about where you were at. When I was standing in the water fishing, and this 20-foot boat goes by with a 25 power horse engine goes by. I mean, the guy goes by at 30 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What the hell is that? So that was all kind of distracting. And I'm standing out in the middle of the water, up to my knees, and this boat goes flying by. So no, that was not streamer fishing then, and I haven't gone back, but I want to. Did they have that down there in Cotter? Did they have all those guys in their boats blowing by and all that?
Oh yeah, most of the guys down there are using some sort of a jet powered boat now, zipping up and down.
Yeah.
They chase those releases. I don't know if you go with the guide, they basically they're letting 8,000 gallons out at 10 o'clock, and they'll get up on that water and they'll ride it down. And so you need that power to get up and down there and chase that water, because all those fish are sitting right in front of that water apparently.
Yeah. They'll just haul ass up with the jet boat, freaking, and just fish it all the way down, and then turn around and run the whole lane all over again.
It's so
Yep,
unique,
exactly.
man. Like the first time I went, like I'd never seen a boat like that really long boat. I was like, "What is that? Like, people fish out of that?" And it's like, "Yeah, man. All right."
Jet boats are
So
huge
unique.
in like our area, and then they'll run up and down the Columbia, freaking John Day and all that, and it's such a super convenient setup too, especially down a little down south towards Cali and all that. Everybody runs jet boats down there because you can just go up and down the river, and you're not having to worry about like the depth and all the other shit. I've seen them plow across crap that I was just like, I don't even know if I'd bump into that with a
Log
fucking
jam,
drift
no
boat.
problem, bud. That was
Yeah,
dope.
I mean they'll hit that and just launch over that shit,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Yep, we're good to go."
I've seen that in Alaska, dude. You're like, some of those rivers up there, you need one because it's
Yeah.
the only way you're gonna get up there.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I think it's a requirement to be a captain of a freaking jet boat that you gotta have a screw loose.
Probably.
Yeah. Very cool. So how is the what's your thoughts on river etiquette, man? How's the river etiquette over where you're at?
I actually consider myself to have good river etiquette. Like I'll ask when I'm floating up on somebody and they got their light on, especially at night. So our rivers get packed during heck season, and a lot of people will show up, and you got guys on shore, you got guys floating down the river in rafts, canoes, kayaks, whatever. Depends on the day, but sometimes they'll get loaded right up during the prime time, prime hatch time of the year. And a lot of guys don't have running lights; they won't have their red light on or anything, so you'll get right up on them before you even know they're there. And
oh wow.
you'll get a guy from the shore bitching at you because you're floating by, or you'll come up on somebody and you'll be like, right or left, river right, river left, what do you want me to do? And they don't answer you, so you just pick one, and then they're griping. So a lot of guys are good, a lot of guys are bad. I like when somebody calls out. If they're coming up on my backside, call out, ask me, river right, river left, because I could be working a fish on either side. It's an easy thing to do. Give them some direction.
Yep.
So I've got other guys since this whole COVID thing happened. There's been a whole influx of new people that have gotten boats and rafts and everything else. And we were working this jam this past season, and this guy came through with, it must have been a 16-foot boat, and two of his buddies didn't know how to row it. He went past us, ran into the log jam, did a 360, ran into the other side. It's like
It's just bumper cars down the river.
yeah, I'm like, okay, we may as well not fish here the rest of the day now, you know.
Yeah.
So
I can just like picture it in my head too.
Dude, I've seen
it-
I've seen boats like that going down the river, and it's like, well,
Eh.
I'm either gonna pass them and see like the front of the boat sticking out, or somebody's gonna end it. I'm just gonna find a body on the side of the river.
yeah, it gets pretty crazy. And then you'll have the other guys that don't know when it's getting dark to keep their lights off. When you know, so you'll have lights splashing all over the river, and it's like, ugh. But you got to deal with it.
So you guys deal. I mean, obviously places like where Dave's from and stuff like that. It's kind of, everybody hears these combat fishings, but it's different when it's around like the Great Lakes area and East Coast, like upstate New York and Michigan and along. It seems like that strip. It's a different, when people say, "Hey, we're fishing shoulder to shoulder," like us, that means we're probably one or two people apart, but there's a lot of people there. But holy shit, I didn't realize that. Like, I went down to Salmon River outside of north of Syracuse, and I was up at Fat Nancy's. They went down the river, and I was just like, there was literally dudes. Like, if you went like this, you were hitting like both sides, and I'm like, how in the hell? And so it's a different ball game. I mean, how is that as dealing with that? What's that like? Because especially like a lot of guys on the West Coast, we don't deal with that.
Yeah. So we, like, personally, because we have boats. Like, me and the group of friends that I fish with, we got boats. So we stay away from that stuff. So we'll get in the river, we'll drift down, we'll find holes or areas where there's not a lot of people. But yeah, the salmon runs, the steelhead runs. You go to the Grand River, right downtown Grand Rapids, right at the weir, you're loaded up with people. You go to the Betsy River during the salmon run, it's just shoulder to shoulder. And it's just, we go to the weir, we'll sit there and drink beer and watch them. Looking at they're crossing each other's lines and everything. And then we'll get in the boat the next morning and go way above the weir and go, get away from the crowd. So, but there definitely is that shoulder to shoulder action doing the prime salmon run, mostly the salmon run, but you'll get a little bit of you'll find a little of that with the steelhead run as well.
Yeah.
Do you see a lot of fights and stuff? Like, the closest thing I ever came was in Alaska, and we had the salmon, and up there it's like there is so much land, like you could fish it, but what it was the access areas,
Yeah.
like if you're willing to walk a few miles up, yeah, sure, you'd probably be the only person there, but most people would congregate because it's easy access, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I've seen some crazy stuff up there, like nothing too out of control, but like, and we're talking probably, like you reach your arm out as far as you can, you might be able to touch somebody. Like, you can't do this. And I even seen like some anger going on with that. So I can't even imagine. I mean, are there like fights every year and like people like cutting lines? Like, what's going on over there?
Yeah, I haven't seen too much of that. At one time on the Rogue during steelhead season, I watched a guy hook a fish, walk it down out of the hole, and when he came back, somebody else slid in his hole, and those guys kind of started getting into a little bit, but not too much. I have one buddy that would basically like purposely cast over some people's lines, like if they were like starting to encroach too much, he would make a point to like, he's like, screw this.
This is my spot, bro.
Yeah, he would just get a tangle to be like, cut their shit, and and it's like I was uncomfortable fishing with it because I'm like, I really want to be a part of
hurry
this.
up, dude. We got 3 minutes before they re-rig. You're just casting as much as you can.
Yeah, so yeah, I try to avoid that stuff. Like I said, mostly we get in our boats and we find those areas where we don't have to deal with all that congestion.
Nice.
What's your access points there? Do you guys have a lot of public access points, or is it kind of like who you know and all that?
Yeah, we do. Most of our good rivers have several launch points, so you can kind of pick, where you want to float to and from. So
Awesome.
the primary rivers do, or if you're gonna fish like steelhead or salmon runs, you'll put it at the Manistee and you'll motor up and then come back down, or the same thing with foot dam on the Asabo, you'll motor up and come back down, or drop in and pull out down by the, further down river.
Nice.
But there's lots of public access points, lots of boat launches.
Very cool. So what's a normal day look like for you on the water then? Like when you're in a boat, like how many miles of river are you floating, or how long? What's that?
Oh, it varies. I mean, I've done way too long of floats, and I've done, short floats. I've done those floats that are so long that you're like, I'm never doing this again. You make those mistakes sometimes, but yeah, normally, like, so we have me and a few of my buddies went on a old beat up cabin a couple years ago, close to a boat launch at the Asabo River, and we have our couple spots that we put in at, and I would say the average float time is 4 to 5 hours between these couple areas, and typically that's much longer because we stop. We stop, we work holes and whatnot. So, but yeah, I've made the mistake of putting in at like Ross Common, which is like the center of Michigan, and floating all the way back up to our cabin. It's like 14 hours later, burned, all the beer's gone. You're almost getting into fights with your buddies.
Tensions are getting high.
Yeah, that can be brutal.
Oh yeah, especially when you're not catching fish. If you're catching fish, you're happy, but when you're having one here or there once in a while, then you're like, all right, this is a bad idea.
Yeah, it's kind of like, and that's what the thing that sucks is. It's like you can make a run one day and it can be amazing, and the first thing you're gonna do is, dude, just grab the beer. We all gotta fucking load up. We're going out tomorrow. We're gonna slay it. Get out there and there ain't shit. And they look at you like, they're gonna fucking fish with you again. You're full of shit. So
yeah, I would say that's worse when you're trying to convince that one buddy that doesn't like streamer fishing. You've got to come with us. We crushed it yesterday, and then he actually comes and you catch nothing.
Yep.
Right. That's my story of my life of streamer fishing, drift boating. Yo, we got the most fish in a square mile you've ever seen. Go out there, 5 of us, nothing. So I'm streamer fishing, boat fishing, screw both of them. You guys can have it. I'll leave the room for you. It's the best. There's more fish out there. Like, no, there's not. Never is. Can't live up to it.
Come on, Gary.
Just because
You guys
every
are laughing,
trip,
it's true.
every trip you've been on, it's true. Every one you miss,
Every
it's the
trip
opposite.
I go on these trips thinking, all right, this is the one. This is the one where I'm going to kill it.
Uh-huh.
The only thing that gets killed is usually me. Break a rod, drop out of the boat.
Yeah.
I'm with the guys that can't paddle or something like.
Hey,
oh,
I
man.
hooked 2 things that trip. I hooked one, slammed a freaking 1/0 hook into my shoulder.
Yeah.
And then
Got the biggest sucker on the river, huh?
dude, I did 100%. And then I hooked a tank of a brown that broke off at the boat.
Yeah.
And so I was so bummed. He probably was at least 24 to 25 inches. I was just and a fatty. God, he was fat. But
Yeah, that's like you were saying. One fish or catching fish makes you happy. And one of the gentlemen with us, Ken, he pulled a monster in on the 3rd or 4th day of whatever it was.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, this is an awesome trip." Tell you, 3-4 days, nothing.
And that can make or break.
It only takes one.
It can be.
Come on, we can keep going. We're like, no.
Yeah, I've been on trips where it's like we're almost at the end, and it's just like, oh man, I don't know if I'm ever gonna come back out here. And I'll hook one fish. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm coming back.
This was the best place I've ever been.
I don't care if it took like 8 hours to get this one. We're coming back out.
Exactly.
Yeah, but in that 8 hours, you go, I can't wait to that spot. That one spot's hot. That's my spot.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I could do it. Of course, nothing happens.
Well, speaking of that one fish, that makes me want to ask you a question about the most memorable fish that either you actually landed or the one that got away. Tell us about that story.
The good story in the bad. Give us a good and a bad. You had a great one. Tell us the bad one. Bad fish that got away.
Okay, so the first year that I bought my drift boat, I think I've had it for 4 or 5 years now. We had been dry fly fishing, hex fishing probably 2 years before that. I got my own boat, and we had this fish that we named Hoover, because every night that we were out, this son of a bitch was like just the loudest gulps you could ever see. And then, we'd catch a glimpse of the boil and we're like, this thing's got to be massive. So we chased it for 1 year and could not get this fish to hit, right? We're like, unlikely it's going to be there next year. Go there next year. It's sure as shit it's there. And it's sitting right off of it's in the worst spot. It's tucked up tight to somebody's break wall where there's this little back eddy and you can't get a normal drift with your your dry fly through. It kind of like spools around. You just know it's like this thing's going to know it's not a natural drift, so we can never get it. So one night I'm parked there and I'm parked by Hoover because he's feeding and I'm like, this is the night we're going to get Hoover. Well, something started feeding on the other side. So I cast over on the other side. 2 or 3 casts later, I hooked this pig. And I ended up catching it. And on the side of my boat that I had bought, it was a 22-inch ruler. And this fish flopped over 4 or 5 inches off of that 22-inch ruler.
Nice.
So, and I have a picture of it. And it was great. I'm thinking, we're so excited. Me and my buddy are just jumping up, high-fiving, hugging, whatever, let this fish go. Well, I shit you not, like a week and a half later, we go back out to the same spot. No sign of Hoover, but on the other side, there's a fish feeding. 2 or 3 casts, hooked him. Same damn fish. Caught that big 26, 27-inch fish 2 times the year that I bought my drift boat within like 2 weeks of each other. So that's
epic.
Hoover got away. We don't see him anymore, but I had an epic first year with that drift boat, I'd say.
Oh hell
That's
yeah!
cool, dude.
It's
Very
good
nice.
stuff.
Crescent all nice and well. What kind of drift you got?
Stealth Craft mini fly.
Nice. You guys
You have
run
the,
short sides or long sides on there?
It's the tall
You got talls. Yeah, that's what we.
tall side. Yeah.
Yeah, we run majority of the stuff that we run. We'll run tall. If you start going down south, you'll see a lot of shorties.
Yeah.
Setup.
Yeah. So this boat I bought it was 1 year old when I got it. It was off of an older fella that had bought it for hexing at a spot there on the Asalvo River. I picked it up. It was cherry condition. So didn't know much about drift boats. Still don't claim to know much about drift boats. I got it. I went out.
What do you know about anchors, though? You're pretty sharp when it comes to anchors, right? Watch this, guys.
Hey, I tell you what, especially with the drift boat, oars can make or break you. It's just,
Yeah.
It's worth, and oars are a good set. I mean, unfortunately, for a good set, you're looking at like $1,200. But man, it's just maybe you don't have the right oars on those, because like a lot of ours, we don't have. Majority of us, at least anybody that I fish out of the boat, we don't run motors. So dude, we're hoofing that shit everywhere. God, it's just like, man, if you have good oars, you are screwed on the water.
Oh, yeah.
Can you? And I might be wrong here. Can you put headlights on your Stealth?
Oh, there's headlights on it.
Okay, yeah, because I was about to say, because I'm pretty sure my buddy has one, but I couldn't remember if it was a Stealth or not. But dude, mousing, throw those headlights on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty nice when you're trying to find your way out of an area after you've had 7 or 8 two-hearted beers. And you're like, I can't see anything.
Turn on the lights.
Was
the
it a
lights
log
on.
or a brown trout? What was that? Either way,
At that point, you don't care about the feeding fish anymore. You're like, it's 4. We need to go.
Yeah. It's just tell me if I'm not in water anymore.
Yeah.
Nice. So do you have a story like you got just like the one or is that Hoover? Is that your Hoover?
Yeah, it sounds like
The
a
one that
combination
caught
of
him?
both. Yeah.
That was a blend of all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good story.
Of the
Or
one
the
that
fish that got away, the
snuck
heartbreak.
away, and the one that got to the boat.
Yeah.
I still wonder where Hoover is, man.
Yeah.
Probably passed away, natural cause.
Yeah.
Big old fish.
I'm gonna go check out that
Yeah.
picture, dude. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I don't know that one. I don't know if I posted that one. I might have to dig that out of the archive.
Yeah, there you go.
Post
it.
that one so you guys can see it. It's
Okay.
probably a terrible picture because it would have been like I'd have probably been so excited.
Heck yeah.
Now I definitely want to see it. Funny.
So have you ever gotten just like horrible advice on the water? Maybe from your
Besides from
buddies
us.
or-
Not really. Like I said, I mean, I know quite a bit. I do a lot of research. I'll sell myself short in front of a crew like you guys. Like I don't, I don't know my boat or I don't know my stuff, but I'd like to think that every day I'm learning something,
For
So
sure.
I don't like, I take advice from anybody and everybody. Like I said, I don't know anything about nymph fishing. So if I go with a nymph guy, I'm going to be the newbie. They're going to be showing me everything. Gary comes with me streamer fishing. I'm like, Gary, this is gonna be the first time you're ever gonna catch a fish on the streamer because I know what
Yep.
I'm doing.
It's gonna happen.
It's not
At
the
least I'm
first
gonna
time
act
I've
like
heard that, by the way, but cool. You're not the first one. I
One of
want you
these
to
days,
know.
it's gonna happen.
I am not a virgin to somebody saying, you'll
Yep.
catch one today.
yeah. So I don't know. I'd like to say that I don't think I've ever received any bad advice because I take it all under consideration,
Cool.
especially because, like I said, I've been doing this for probably like 8 years, but seriously for like 6 years. But I don't know everything. I don't know. I still consider myself a newbie because there's something new to learn every single time you go out.
There really is, man. And that's
Yeah.
a great answer, dude. I like that answer. And,
Yes. Yeah.
and you're right, man. There's always something to learn. That's why personally, like, I love fly fishing. Because there's so much, dude. Like, and the river's never the same. It's a different river every time you step foot out on there or you get in your boat and get out on it. It's a learning curve, and it never ends.
Yeah,
Awesome.
you know
Love
what
it.
I was finding is when I fished I lived in Arkansas for 3 years and I fished a certain area all the time. I was king. I knew where to go. Here. Then I go to Colorado. I'm like, "Brr, brr, 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 I need help. I know nothing.
How does it go?
I'm out of here.
Everybody now.
Yeah.
Here I'm on top of the world. Next, I'm like, here's $400. Help me out. I'm dying. Let me know what I'm doing here. So that's the challenge of it. That's the one of the things we all love, or I love about it. It's not the same everywhere. There's always a little different stuff.
For sure.
Except when you streamer, it's all the same thing. Cash strap.
Yeah, somebody said to me that streamer fishing is the equivalent of spinner fishing in fly
Without the
fishing.
reel.
I've
Without
heard
the
that.
reel. I
Yeah.
get that.
I was like, no, there's no
Yes.
way. Not even close. Not even close.
Put that whole setup on a streamer on a rig and roll that in. It's
I'm
easy
telling
stuff,
you, man, if you haven't done much nymph fishing, especially if you've got browns and stuff up there, man, I would seriously, I would look into Euro and all
Yeah.
that.
The other conversation.
I've been running it for 2 years, pretty heavy now. If I'm not Euro, I'm chucking meat. If I'm not chucking meat, I'm Euro. Holy shit, it's a game changer. It's just like it was I went through holes with the Euro that I normally would throw like with just standard nymphing and all that, and pull 3 times the amount of fish out of there than I normally would. I was like, holy shit.
Dude, you feel everything, man.
Yes.
That's the thing. Like, and by like a normal rod, like you're adjusting your indicator, doing whatever. With a Euro, you're like, oh, I want to be down a foot. Let me bring my wrist down.
Everything,
Like,
all
that's
the
the
movements are like right. Like when I'm setting the hook, I'm not like this. If a Euro rod, I'm just literally, it's just flicking up my wrist and I set the hook.
Yeah.
And and I have an amazing teacher. I mean, Gary and Dave got to meet Kent, an absolute fish whisperer. I mean, this dude can pull fish out of a fucking mud puddle. I mean, he's stupid how much this guy catches fish. and he's been teaching me, and he's got really big into it, and it's absolutely has been a game changer. And I'm getting ready. I'm teaching him about streamer fishing because he's done everything but streamer fishing. And so
Boy, I like him.
yeah. So
Even though
Gary too.
now he bought a boat, so I don't know. I mean,
well,
he comes down.
that's his second boat.
Oh, I didn't realize he had another
Yeah,
one.
we have a clack, and then now we
Oh.
have the freaking raft now. So, and the raft's been I haven't been on it yet with them, but it's been a game changer for the area.
Dude, it's crazy, man. Like and I don't know, dude, what your water looks like in Michigan.
Right.
I've been on a lot of drift boats, like Montana, Wyoming, and stuff like that. It wasn't until I went with Dave in Colorado, man, where we floated this river, and I'm like, dude, you would die if you had a drift boat on this river. Like, you would have a hole in the bottom of your boat. It was a complete game changer. I couldn't believe it, man. Like, just bouncing off of boulders left and right. It's kind of guiding you down the river. You're bouncing off of rocks. It's crazy.
It's a
Yeah.
whole new freaking world. The maneuverability that you have between a raft and a drift boat
Yep.
is unbelievable. I mean, it's like that eddy where it's like where the water came out for freaking Hoover. It's just like with the raft, you would have been able to get up there and stage up there and not have a lot of. It doesn't have the push and all of the force and feedback that a drift boat would have. And that's one thing that we found out once we got Mike's freaking raft, that it's just that we're getting into spots that we couldn't get in before, even with the drift boat. And so, yeah, it's a game changer. Just another toy. I mean, it's only money. I mean,
Yeah, it's just money, dude. No big deal.
No big deal.
yeah, it's buy like 3 or 4. You'd be all right. Get an arsenal.
Dave, I'm surprised you don't own a boat, to be honest.
Why would I? I know
Why
so many
would
people
Dave
that have
own a
them.
boat
Exactly.
when he has like, that's like me. Why I don't own a boat? Why am I going to own a
No.
boat when I have like 15 buddies that have
That have them,
drift
exactly.
Okay, that's true.
It could be
Yeah.
like me, the guy I know that has a boat. I talked to him and sell it, so you do that.
Yeah. And so I knew.
Yeah,
we
actually, I didn't talk Mike into selling. Mike did that one all himself. I told him to sell his camper, and he did that.
it only took
So
him,
have you-
what, years?
What, the boat or the camper? The camper was that last summer or the start of the season when he said his generator didn't work, shower didn't work, half the electricity was not working. There was 2 open outside crashes on the camper. And when he took it to get it repaired, the guy just looked at him at the maintenance shop and said, "Why?"
You know it's bad, dude.
It comes back. He goes, "Okay, all right, I'll get rid of it." So he got rid of that, and then he sold the boat. The boat was a surprise to me. I didn't think he'd sell that, but he did.
I knew
Dang.
Kent was gonna buy it as soon as he said we're gonna sell it. And Kent, I told Kent, he's like, I guess. He goes, "Do you have the ball for your truck?" I go, "Why?" He goes,
To haul
"If
it
we can
back.
do it, we're gonna haul it back from Wyoming. Is what we're gonna
Right.
do."
Nice.
Sold.
So when you got your boat, dude, did you have any like crazy experiences on the water? Like, did you get yourself in any weird situations, or was it kind of smooth sailing?
No, my buddy had a boat before, and we took turns.
Cool.
We
So
always
you
would
had
take
some
turns
board
rowing.
time.
So we had actually Stealthcraft ABT at the cabin before. This one was the second boat, and it was just a smaller. It worked better for like the South Branch and some of the smaller waters that we had. Plus, if he was going out with people, the boat was full. Then we had, if we had 4 or 5 guys there, we could kind of split up and all get on the boat and get out there. So,
Nice.
Oh yeah.
but yeah, we didn't really have any issues. I do have a pretty funny story though of my buddy Kevin that bought a brand new power drifter last year, and Kevin hasn't been able to go out fishing too much lately. But we met him at Foot Dam the other day, and my buddy John was in the boat eating a Subway sandwich. Kevin was doing his thing, and I'm in my waders by the water waiting for him to back up. And I just was watching John lean back eating his sandwich, and Kevin starts coming up this hill to come over, and the boat just flies off the trailer and just bellies out on the gravel. Brand new Stealthcraft with a 4060 jet prop on it.
Oh,
And John just got jockeyed around. He's still holding his Subway sandwich the whole time. And I'm like, what the hell happened? Kevin gets out and he's like, I unhooked the boat. I can't believe I unhooked the boat. The thing it shot right off. So there's 3 of us sitting there at the Foot Dam, almost right in front of the boat launch with this boat that weighed way too much for us 3 to get back on the trailer, trying to figure out what the hell we were going to do. So we ended up hooking a strap to it. We had to pull it like to the crest of this little hill, get the front kind of wobbling up, back the trailer under that, and hand crank and push. It took us 45 minutes to to get this boat back on there. Luckily no damage happened, but man, John held on to his sandwich the whole time.
That's impressive. That's impressive.
So that was we got really lucky. Not too many people saw it. Only a family that came up canoeing after, and it just so happens this family, they come up with this huge smile on their face. Like we're thinking that they're like laughing at us, And the guy's like, "Can you do me a big favor?" And mind you, this is 45 minutes of us trying to get the boat back on. We're trying to get out fishing. He says, we left our keys in the car up at the next launch. Could you drive us up to the next launch so we get our keys? I'm like, we can't just leave them. So I spent another hour driving it back and forth. The whole day of fishing was like 2 hour delay probably. Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, it makes for good times.
Oh yeah, I mean, just why not get it all out now? So that way when you're on the water, you don't have to worry about anything.
Right.
I was pretty tired after, manhandling that boat back on anyway. I needed that break.
Oh, dude, that would have been fucking brutal.
I'm just glad it wasn't like the shoulder to shoulder Manistee salmon season where there was 50 guys. They would have helped us get the boat on, but they would have been
the
sloshed
shit talking.
Yeah,
that would have been going on.
There would have been pictures probably still getting reposted.
Oh yeah.
It's like, yeah, we did this today, but apparently I didn't go to therapy now.
Well, it's funny you say that because John that was eating the Subway sandwich, he's like, dude, I think I threw my back out, putting that boat back on the trailer.
It's like, I'll send you the chiropractor bill.
Yeah, he was complaining for 2 weeks about his back. I'm like, are you sure it wasn't getting jockeyed around or was it putting the boat back on?
Yeah. That Subway sandwich.
No.
It
was 100% putting the boat back on. They threw it out.
Yeah, I remember too. It was a Philly steak, man.
I understand it now. Those are good. You can't be pushing that. That was good.
Nice. Awesome, man. Well, thank you for coming on with us, dude. And before we let you go, I want to open up the floor to you, man. Is there anything you want to share with our listeners and those watching? I mean, about your company, about anything, really. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, no, I know, Dave, I made contact with you and you kind of hooked me up, got me on the show. I've never done this before. This is a first time I've ever been on. I've been on a lot of Teams meetings lately with work and this whole COVID thing. So I'm kind of used to this, but,
Right.
Meeting new people, talking fly fishing. Like I said, I mean, I have a decent amount of knowledge for my area, but I don't know anything. And I always consider myself as a newbie wherever I go, just because there's so much to learn. And that's basically where I'm at. So this whole company thing, I'm new to doing this too. And it's just all we're trying to do is just get our foot in the door, provide some kind of, a new option to some of the customers out here in the fly fishing community and hope that some people give us a chance. We have some stuff that we've been developing in-house that we think's pretty cool. Some might bash it, some might like it. And then, we're offering some of the classic stuff along with the flies and the leaders and some other things that you can get at a more of a affordable value without losing quality. So we're just hoping some people give us a chance, try the stuff out. If you don't like it, you don't have to buy it again.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And this has been Mothbear with Set You Free Outdoors podcast. Thank you.